Modern Warfare is coming out soon, and being pretty versed in Treyarch's Call of Duties, I thought that I would check out some of Infinity Ward's past games to get a rough idea of what to expect in terms of quality. Not that past games are any indicator of quality these days. Now, I've never played this because, like many others, I got caught up in the hate bandwagon, dismissing it as a shitty cash grab made entirely out of recycled garbage. It was just too easy to ignore this game in a year so full of amazing shooters. But is that all this game really is? Recycled garbage? Well, let me tell you. Absolutely not. Infinite Warfare's campaign is awesome. Almost everything about it surprised me. The game starts off with a full-scale invasion of the Earth by the SDF, a group of colonies frustrated at their lack of representation in Earthen politics. With the commander of your ship killed in the invasion, it's your job to command what's left of Earth's fleet against the SDF's forces and hunt down their most wanted. While this premise is interesting enough, it's nothing special, as is the way it plays out. What really had me invested were the characters. You play as Commander Reyes, this no-nonsense military dude who is absolutely committed to getting the job done at all costs, but often lets his emotions get in the way because he's afraid of making sacrifices and letting those around him die.
Cost us some good men. Didn't have to happen. Not like that.
The cast of characters around him are all diverse, interesting, well acted and captured, and bring a lot of genuine humanity and character to this game. The main cast are especially compelling. I loved how the dynamic between Omar and Ethan developed, or the clashing moral codes of Reyes and Salt. None of it is Oscar-worthy or anything, but it was enough to leave me impressed. The side characters are also pretty memorable and have a lot to do throughout and between missions, which really helps build this idea of a ship and its crew. I genuinely got invested in these people. And there are a few occasions where you just be doing the most bombastic shit, and then you just get hit with these unexpectedly subtle moments of emotion, and they hit hard.
You're my brother, Ethan.
You're talking robot, brother.
Affirmative.
Yes. Well, I am the handsome one, sir.
No doubt.
Part of that is thanks to how believable and grounded the game feels. It never lets you forget that you are a human soldier. From the moment you enter the perspective of Reyes, almost everything in the game occurs in real time. You don't just sit through a loading screen into the next set piece. You hop into your Jackal, fly into space, land at the carrier, walk to your command deck, enter your office, talk to other characters, and choose the next mission, then walk back through the ship and take off again. And although this may sound boring on paper, it's the small details, like the way that once you've chosen your loadout, you physically take your gun off the rack and carry it with you, or seeing other crew members go about their own business that just sells you on the game's setting and gives it a more tactile feel. The game isn't afraid to slow down between the action, let you absorb the details, take in the vast emptiness of space, or comprehend what just happened, and it really effectively creates tension when action does happen. It's a brilliant and seamless framing device for these missions, the best I've seen since Black Ops 1. This is probably a good time to talk about how damn gorgeous the game is. Infinite Warfare is without a doubt the best looking Call of Duty, obviously with the exception of Modern Warfare. These levels are extremely detailed, and these sci-fi environments, ranging from the ravaged Geneva to asteroid fields to other planets and moons in our solar system, are absolutely stunning. On several occasions I actually had to stop and just gaze in awe at some of the lighting, the weather, and the environmental effects. It's nothing short of beautiful. Even the sound design is surprisingly good. The guns all sound convincing because they aren't trying to be real guns, and my god, the soundtrack is literally out of this world, which is a shame because unfortunately it doesn't really shine through during gameplay, but it's amazing nonetheless. Space is a dangerous, hostile environment, and humans are not built to be there. This game does not let you forget that. Infinity Ward have taken full advantage of the setting. Its levels are all full of space-themed mechanics, shooting windows to pull enemies out, draining their oxygen, avoiding rays from the sun, and even actually fighting in anti-gravity environments. It all feels surprisingly fleshed out. You can rotate around, you've got to grapple for cover and to kill enemies, grenades lock on in space, and you've got devices that hack robots, and of course there's ship combat. These are the kind of things that you might expect to be one-time gimmicks, but they're actually present in every level, which is beyond awesome in my eyes. Even though levels are usually pretty linear, they do sometimes open up and let you approach them how you choose. You always have so many options for fights with some of the most awesome grenade types I've ever used in a game that all feel useful. Multi-purpose transforming guns, pieces of equipment like shields, hacking charges. Shooting your way through every scenario is not actually the best way to approach these fights every time. You just can't because of all the different enemy types that get thrown at you. The campaign isn't perfect though. Sometimes there's just so much visual clutter and your screen shakes so violently and frequently that you just can't aim at anything. The Jackal combat is pretty wonky sometimes and it lacks feedback. It's one of those things that doesn't really drag down the experience, but I can see that if you're not into it, it really could ruin the game for you. There's also next to no incentives to do side missions. The game isn't long enough to warrant chasing upgrades, and killing the most wanted is pretty lame, which is a real shame because some of these side missions are as good as the main levels. And we're about to get into spoilers here, so shut your ears, kids. The villain in this game is pretty bad, and the scene where he is introduced is a complete joke. Whose idea was it, firstly, to cast all these distracting ass celebrities in this scene? And secondly, to have the first thing that this guy does be save your life.
Get him up, he needs air.
Then, he shoots one of his own men to prove that he doesn't care about them. Then, he tells his men to
Kill them. And save the bullets.
What? Are you serious, dude? Save the bullets? After you used one to kill a guy so that you could prove a point to a guy who would be dead in 30 seconds? I get that his whole character is about sacrifice being an effective way of getting things done, but wouldn't it have been cool to actually have him, get something useful done through sacrifice? This bit serves only to show the audience the kind of guy he is, but it makes him look like a total idiot because all he does the rest of the game is send you his SDF propaganda videos.
The jungle ceiling cops up the response.
Like, dude, stop fucking spamming it. I also felt a little unsatisfied with the ending. It made sense for Reyes to give in and make that sacrifice, and it was touching to hear Sol turn around on her attitude towards it throughout the campaign. But seeing everyone die so quickly lessens the impact, and Reyes and co basically gave in to the ideals of the SDF. I guess you could see it as them using the SDF's ideals against them. I don't know, maybe I'm thinking about this too hard, but the fact that I am thinking about the story and themes of a Call of Duty game is honestly pretty surprising to me. Other than that, it would have been nice to see maybe some more enemy types, especially given the setting, but Infinity Ward did such an incredible job creating a campaign that, despite being so detached from its roots, managed to be one of the best narrative experiences this franchise has to offer. Infinite Warfare is a beautiful, ambitious, and heartfelt game, and you can tell that the people behind this really tried to make something just a bit more interesting than your average shooter, and they succeeded, big time, but many of us didn't even give them a chance. It's a real shame that the community reaction was so strong because it means that we may never see a game like this again. And if this franchise never explored this setting in the future after this game, I think it'd be a real loss. I can't recommend it enough, and I haven't even discussed zombies or multiplayer yet. You can pick it up for like $10 and just play through it on a rainy day. I promise you will have a good time.